About 2 years ago, I upgraded to this sliding miter saw. Unfortunately, my cart was designed for my old saw, so in this video I'm going to modify this cart so I can add my extension wings back on. Okay, you can clearly see the issue of this saw with this cart. The saw is just simply too wide. It's roughly a ½ inch overhang on both sides. So to cure that problem, I'm going to take 1/2 inch plywood, build out a panel sandwiched against the side of the cart, 1/2 inch, that will bring it out past the edge of the bed, or the side of the casting here, and then another piece of 1/2 inch plywood sandwiched on that, coming up to just below this surface, and I'll explain in the next section why I would like to come up just below the surface and not even with that. So these are my two original wings that I built for the cart for the old saw. The wings are just a touch under 9 inches wide, so there's really no reason to build an adapter or some kind of build out on the side of the cart any wider than that, so I'm going to stick with that 9-inch dimension. Okay, I'll start by ripping a 9-inch wide section off of this 1/2 inch plywood panel. Okay, for the intersections that are going to go right up against the cart, I'm going to cut those at 8 inches. Okay, to install this first piece, I'm going to set it back a 1/2 inch from the front edge. And I'm using my fingers just to make sure that it's flush with the top of the cart. I've pre-drilled my panel piece so that there's countersinks to make sure the screws are below the surface so it doesn't interfere with the second piece that was sandwiched on top of this. Okay, now I want to figure out the length of this second section. So I want to go from the very bottom of this panel I've just added to the very, very even top of the bed. But I do want to factor in the thickness of the wing, which is 3/4. So I'm going to take this measurement, subtract 3/4. Okay, this measurement is 11 5/8. And that would be 10 7/8 for a total length. Okay, cut two panels at 10 7/8. Okay, if I was to simply just mount this piece to the side, flush with the bed of the miter saw, and then mount the wing on it, this is what would be seen from the top. You would see the top of the plywood. So what I'd like to do is reposition these brackets so that the top of this section is actually sitting on the bottom. So I'll have to move these brackets up, and I'll have to position it up a little bit so that this will drop down and will be even with the back side of that plywood. I'm using this scrap piece to get that proper spacing. You can see this scrap piece. And I'm also trying to make sure that the bracket is square. So by using the scrap against the edge to hold the bracket in place, it puts it right where it needs to be. And I can screw this first screw in to hold it in place. And now I can put the second screw in. Now just do the rest of them. Okay, I'm going to put this panel on now. I'm just going to use my fingers again to make sure this is flush with the bottom now of the previous piece. Also, don't make the same mistake I did. I started my screws right about the same location of the screws underneath, so I went up a little higher to avoid them. You don't want to screw into your previous screws. Again, just checking for flush. There we go. Okay, it's time to add the wing back on now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically set this on here. And you can see how now it sits nice on top of that piece that we added. And since this is 1/2 inch at the top, I'm going to have to use some slightly shorter screws so I don't punch through all the way through the plywood. I'm using some 5/8 spack screws. And I'm going to take advantage of the double holes at the top to get a little better, more secure attachment since I'm having to use these shorter screws. And I'll use these 1-inch screws at the bottom. And if I take my level and check it, it's pretty much dead on. Okay, just got to do the other side. Okay, got the wings back on the miter cart station, and they're fairly coplanar, at least with my checks with the level. They're fairly coplanar with the bed and the miter saw, and these are going to come in real handy with some future projects that are coming up real soon. So, again, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Like this, give a thumbs up on this video, and always appreciate shares and likes and subscriptions and everything above. All above. So anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.